office and gonna hopefully offer some tips for those of you who maybe are still closed or have adjusted your hours or whatever the case may be as a result of COVID-19.
Oh, it's kind of crazy right
Mhm.
now. It has been crazy.
Yeah.
But now we get to reopen and people are going back to some kind of normal. I don't know what that's going to be yet. And so the question becomes, how do you cut through the clutter and reach your people?
That's right. So, because I think every business is probably obviously unique in what they do, what goods or services they've been able to provide. Bars obviously have closed for the most part. Those that offer food are still doing the food and the curbside service, but there's still a whole lot of things out there that I think a lot of businesses and brands maybe don't understand or don't know what the first step or the next step should be in their journey of reopening.
Well, one, we came in with masks.
Yes.
We have nice little personalized,
Yes.
customized
Very
masks for Idea Creative. So that's the first thing I think that you need to address. It's very important, is setting the expectation of what people are going to need to do to come into your business. Face masks are, do you have everything socially distanced, making sure that your employees are protected, that your customers are protected. Are you going to require people to take the temperature? Those kind of things, because when you walk in somewhere, especially after coming off of months of not knowing what's going on, and now you're going into really essentially a whole new world.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got new rules and regulations, along with state regulations and CDC guidelines, that we really have to maneuver. So the last thing that you really want to do as a business is to shock your customers even more.
Mm-hmm.
We want to know if you are going to want people right now. They're saying wear masks, but if you are going to make sure you're not stepping foot in my store without a mask, or only so many people can be in the store at one time, you need to let people know that before. Hey, there's a chance that you may have to stand outside for 15 to 20 minutes or until other people can clear out. So if you can only have 5 people in your store, how long do you think somebody will be standing outside?
Right.
People want to know that, and then you can kind of curb off problems on the back end of people getting angry and then standing outside your business that just reopened and writing a bad review.
Right, and that's like I said, when you're standing in line and you feel like you're being ignored, that's the perfect opportunity to occupy your time by getting on your phone and leaving some unhappy comments. So as consumers too, I think you need to be prepared, and you also maybe do a little homework and find out what your favorite places that you like to shop or eat or whatever the case may be, and kind of know what they're doing and have that expectation in mind, but also know that this is uncharted waters for everyone. So if it doesn't go as smoothly as you may anticipate, give everybody a little bit of slack, and it's not the employee and the employer's fault per se. It's nobody's fault. We're just all kind of trudging through this together and trying to work something out. And as businesses, be prepared to maybe have things on hand to make the process a little easier and that transition a little easier. And if hiccups happen, be prepared to fight that as well, because undoubtedly there's going to be hiccups along the way.
And a lot of store layouts have changed.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's one distinct entrance and one exit so that people can be separated. Just kind of the flow of stores may have to change. So if that's happened, do a video.
Yeah.
Go through, do a walk through, and show people how they can shop in your store, or they can visit your restaurant, or just do business with you.
Mm-hmm.
Show them what to expect, because a fast way to scare somebody off is for them to go into somewhere that they are familiar with, and then it's kind of like a shock factor.
Yeah.
And you're like, where am I? I don't feel comfortable. And you want people to be comfortable. So if you show them, take some time, do a video. If you don't feel comfortable doing a video, you can simply just tell people, say, hey, the layout of our store is changing. This is how we're going to be doing it. Just having that open communication so that people know what to expect. it really will help everyone, and then kind of build up the new normal. So we know those things, but how do you reach the
Right.
people?
Yes.
And that's really where what businesses are asking right now, because there is a flood of people trying to buy advertisements.
Hmm.
Social ads are dirt cheap, so a lot of people are boosting posts, and there are some instances where boosting posts work, but there are better ways to spend your money. And really, at this point, when everybody essentially is doing grand openings and reopenings, we want to make sure that you're reaching the people that are your customers or are most likely to do business with you. So you really want to do targeted ads so that you know you're reaching the right people. And that's what we can help with. If you're going to do any kind of paid advertisement, we really want to make sure that you are delivering to the right people at the right time in the right context.
Context is king, and that's the beauty of, when you work with an agency, we are able to kind of, like you said, look at the best times to post it, or the audience that you're going to want to target, and get that message out to. Because I think a lot of times the philosophy or the mentality in the past has just kind of been, I'm going to throw it up at the wall and see what sticks, and if it works, it works. But there's a method to the madness, I guess is the best way to say it, to get your message out. And do you think that businesses that have kind of had to, obviously we've seen some that have stayed open, whether it's an essential business or they've been able to do the curbside, but those who have been completely shut for the last 2 months, I mean, I'm assuming that if you weren't keeping that social media flow alive, it's much harder than to kind of reboot and start, because it is almost like starting from scratch again.
It is. So you have to, one, be sensitive to the the environment really
Sure.
that you're in, and I think everybody has to treat it like a grand opening, because even if you've been open, you probably haven't had face-to-face meetings, you haven't had extra people coming through your doors. If you've been open, you've probably just been curbside.
Mm-hmm.
So any kind of opening is a grand opening. So you have to kind of envision that you are competing, you are having a grand opening the same day that everyone else in your town is having a grand opening. So targeting the people that are most likely to come to you is the best way to really get out there. As far as content, I want to touch base. Yesterday we did some reporting and saw that businesses kind of trailed off in the frequency of posts, and we say it all the time: quality over quantity. Stop posting just to post. Post great things, and we were doing that because people were being laid off, and it was, oh, I need to post this. This is quality information, and then we took the time. So we need to continue that, because what we saw yesterday, now that people are starting to reopen, they just think that they can throw things on the timeline and just in their feeds, and that if they post it more often, that it's going to be seen.
Right.
And that's not the case.
Right.
Engagement rates are at now again some of the lowest points that they have been.
Yeah. It is funny that, because I feel like before I started, in this career move that I made, I was in that mentality of, well, I'm going to post 4 or 5 times a day on whatever it is that I'm doing, and you're right. Why am I not seeing these numbers increase and stuff? So I think a lot of times people get desperate, or they think that if I post this, they didn't see it this morning, so I'm going to post it again this afternoon, or if I didn't get a good response, or whatever the case may be. So like Whitney said, it is definitely quality over quantity. And even if you drop it down to 4 or 5 times a week instead of 7 days a week, you're going to see, I feel like if you give it all a little breathing room and let it simmer a little bit, you're going to see much better results than if you were stacking it one on top of the other. So.
And it doesn't, common sense tells you otherwise.
Right,
Common
exactly.
sense says if I post this more often, because you go and you hit most recent,
Mm-hmm.
but the chances of people doing that, one, half of people don't know that you can choose to go to your newsfeed and hit most recent.
Yeah.
But the chances of getting into the most recent at that time are still very slim. So it takes time for the algorithm to, one, place anything and start delivering. So the fewer posts that you have actually increases the likelihood that you are going to get into the newsfeed. But then you're also not creating competition for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So people think, oh, I'm going to post this. This is important. I'm going to continue to post it. Twitter, that works.
Yeah.
But Facebook, it doesn't, because you are literally just competing with your own content. And there are blogs and agencies that say, oh no, post frequently. That it's not. It's lazy marketing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work. And every analytic report we have shows us that.
Right.
So I cannot stress enough to change this mentality. And your market may be different, but that is why you need analytics.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the numbers don't lie, and the beauty of the numbers too is you're getting a snapshot of your audience and who is consuming, and in some cases even what your competition and what their audience is consuming. So it's very important to keep all of that in mind, that it is, it's so much about the numbers and knowing, and not, we preach this all the time too, the number of likes or whatever the case may be. It's that actual engagement that you are generating with your posts. And that's the beauty of these analytic reports, is you're able to see it and then you can adjust and change. That's the beauty of social media. As opposed to other forms of advertising or marketing, it's, you put a billboard up, you're kind of stuck with that billboard for, and there's no real true way to gauge that engagement. But with social media, you can post something, watch the numbers for a bit, and then if you have to tweak it or change it, you can do it. You can do that, and it doesn't cost you.
We can also see what your competitors are doing. So we have trending and popular topics in our analytic reports that we get daily. So if your competitor starts, if any of their posts starts to take off at a higher rate of engagement than normally,
Mm-hmm.
So, and we set those. So if you have a large audience, a 3% spike is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And it just depends on your engagement rate. But the moment that anything starts to trend, we're going to see the topic. And then we can create content based on what is relevant. So what are people searching for? What are your competition? What are they doing that is working and is engaging people? And then we can create content around that so that you are always relevant. It's all about context. So we know that the quantity is not really what you're looking at, but the quality is.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make quality posts? And that's relevancy.
Mm-hmm. What would be some examples? Because I think a lot of times, we've talked about this before too, businesses will post across the board the same thing, the same image, or they'll post an image on Instagram, for example, that has a lot of text on it. You want to, and Facebook ads, I know, limits you on the amount of text you can actually have on an image. Is that right?
It is. So Facebook is kind of said, okay, I'm going to start taking your money because you can't follow the rules now. So they will take your money now, where before it would be rejected,
Mm-hmm.
just flat out. Now they will deliver it to less people and just take your money. So here we are on Facebook Live, and I'm saying don't listen to Facebook. But don't listen to Facebook. You really need to know your audience. If you're in marketing, you already know that. But looking at those analytics, because there are so many things that you think, you're like, oh, this is interesting to me, or this seems like it should go viral. But when you look at your specific audience and what they engage with, not only from you, but your competition, it really is kind of eye-opening.
Yeah.
I know when I show clients, when we go and we show them the reports, we're like, I didn't think about that topic.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we're here.
Right.
Is
Right.
because that is what people are searching for, but we know that that's what it is, and so we know the topic. Now we put it into context, and we make you relevant for that topic,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden you're filtering into news feeds in areas that you haven't before, and you're not putting money behind it. Now you're putting money into the management of it, but as far as just advertising, it's advertising stops when you stop feeding, when you stop paying the bill. It's done.
Yeah.
But these are things that are organically building up that never go away.
Yeah.
That you are, so it's really an investment. This management and analytics is an investment that, of things that you can always build on and keeping you relevant, and you're reaching more people organically. So you're not in their face with an advertisement.
Yeah.
So a good mix of both is where you need to be, especially when we're going into some of the highest ad competition that we will see in years.
Is that because of the COVID? And now we couple that, now, we're in a campaign year as well. So we're going to see a lot coming up down the
It
pipeline.
really is. So we've got, obviously, a big election this year. So, but we have local candidates that are going to be, it's heated,
Mm-hmm.
to say the least.
Sure.
And social media advertisement, we've learned, is a great way for candidates to get in and build that relationship with voters. So we know we've got to compete against that. And now every business, they're picking up whatever dollars they can find
Mm-hmm.
to advertise, that they're going to be open and, hey, come back so
Yeah.
that we can stay in business. So we've got all of this compounded competition that you're going to be looking at. So having a well-rounded strategy right now is so vital. There's no room to throw money at the wall, because one, it's not going to work.
Right.
The competition's too high. Plus, people are coming off of not being open for months.
Yeah.
So cash flow is tight. We
Yeah.
understand that. So that's why you really need to make sure you're going with tactics that work. Another great thing we can do is we can find out what competitors are doing. And if you're a local business, let's look at people that are not in your direct market, and
Yeah.
we can see what they're doing, what larger businesses are doing, what's being and what's effective and what's working, and then we can take that and apply it here. So there's not as much guesswork. We know what's working,
Yeah.
and that's really what's going to.
Because I think what you hit the nail on the head with taking out that guesswork, because that's where the frustration comes in, where if you are trying a traditional marketing tactic and it's not working, and it takes time to know that it's not working, whereas with the numbers and the analytics and the software that we use, we can tell pretty instantaneously kind of what's working. Now obviously you want to give some things some time, but because it's not, you can't just snap your fingers and everything's going to magically fall into place for you.
Correct. And, when we talk about well-rounded strategy, we talk about organic and paid.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talk about social and digital, or, SEM and SEO tactics. So we really have to look at all of those things to figure out where your weaknesses are and address those in a well-rounded campaign that gets people in the door
Yeah.
for as little money as possible.
Right.
And what's great about having all of these different tactics is it doesn't take this huge marketing budget to be able to do it, when the money is, just streamlining things and having this data. It really allows us to put the money where it needs to be so that everything works together without spending outrageous amounts of money. We're learning from people who do spend outrageous amounts of money. We're learning from their mistakes. And then you also have to have a strategy for your different platforms.
Yeah.
Facebook, the algorithm works very differently from Twitter and LinkedIn. LinkedIn has rolled out some new features. Really, everyone is rolled out new features since video.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at those strategies, doing some homework and looking at what is available now is a huge factor in your success. Reevaluating your channels and your audience. There's been a lot of shift in channel usage
Mm-hmm.
between Facebook and Instagram and Twitter specifically.
Yeah.
People talk about TikTok, but TikTok videos are great on other channels. So we see huge engagements when you take your TikTok video and put it over in Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
But having a strategy and really reevaluating your channels, and just because the channel is there doesn't mean you need to be on it.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that it's a good investment of time or money. We've seen a huge increase in Twitter usage and just engagement.
Yeah.
So, but it also takes a lot more time.
Right. Yeah.
The feed moves very quickly. You have to put out a lot of content there, and it really has its own rules.
Yeah.
But as we move into looking at where to put your money and really avoiding some of the competition, Twitter is going to be a good network because of political ads. Those are really going to go to Facebook. Twitter has more regulations on advertising for political candidates. So people are going to start moving over to Twitter during the election cycle. Well, kind of.
Yeah.
You've still got a lot more banter. So it depends on, what are you prepared to do? Because we know what Twitter looks like, and people just spouting out information.
Yeah.
So you know that if Twitter has your market base, you really have to invest in time for monitoring and being engaged. But we're also going to see an increase in Instagram in the older users because it's just photos. It's not a lot of banter.
Right. Yeah. It's harder to get, political and, divide things up on Instagram. And TikTok is pretty effective with that as well, as being more lighthearted and funny, whereas Facebook, you kind of look at it as more, it's transitioned into that more, this is where people are coming to kind of spout off and post their political views or whatever the case may be.
So, just taking time to, in this last week or so before you reopen and you're going into things, look at your channels. If you don't know what those channels are, because they have changed a lot and they're going to continue to change through the election season, let us know. We can look at your audience and we can say, where your competition is, on what channels they're most active, where they're getting the most engagement, and what channels are going to give you the most return, not only for your time, but for your money. We can do all of that. And really going forward, if your audience isn't on the channel, there is absolutely no reason to be on there anymore.
I'd be curious to know too, if you are a brick and mortar and have had to adjust to these changes, and maybe you're not reopening your store, you've gone online only, or selling through social, because I would imagine there are a handful out there that have discovered that they could sustain a business without having to pay rent and utilities and all of that as well. So it's an interesting time, and obviously 25, 30 years ago, we'd be in a much different situation, I think. But luckily, because of technology, the internet, social media, we're able to still function, not at 100%, but we are able to still get messages out there and run businesses and educate our children and hold meetings and do all that good stuff as well.
So if you have questions and you're ready to reopen, let us know. We'd be happy to help you. We want everyone to succeed.
That's right. You succeed, we succeed, and the whole area succeeds. So you can call us here at Idea Creative Marketing at 618-529-0969 or check out ideacreativemarketing.com. Again, all the social media channels, follow us there as well, and we will talk again very soon. Thanks for watching.
Bye.